Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain The Shepherd. This movie tells the story of a former New Orleans cop who battles drug cartels and ex-Army special forces who are smuggling drugs from Mexico into US through a Texas border town. Can he stop the smuggling and take revenge for his daughter who died because of a drug overdose? Let's find out in The Shepherd. The Shepherd begins by showing a group of US military soldiers led by a man named Benjamin. The military unit was tasked with rescuing several captives and a man who was a key witness named Ali in Afghanistan. After they managed to break in and defeat the criminals, they immediately went into the prison room to pick up Ali and the others. One of Benjamin's colleagues named Max asked the prisoners which of them was Ali. One of the men raised his hand and confessed that he was Ali. Unfortunately, Ali preferred to die using the bomb that had been placed on his body. Benjamin realized that this time the mission had failed. The scene changes to 2 years after the incident. A big and muscular man named Jack came to the police station to carry out his duties as a border police officer between the United States and Mexico. Previously, Jack was a special agent who served in the capital, but this season he began to be transferred to a police unit in the city of Texas. Upon arriving at the police station, Jack is greeted by the police chief named Ramona Garcia. Garcia then explained to all members of the police about the mission they would carry out this time. They will investigate a drug trafficking case carried out by a drug cartel network led by a man named Felix. Felix's drug cartel is known to have smuggled large amounts of heroin into America. After explaining about the mission, Garcia warns all her members that Felix's drug cartel is very dangerous because they are guarded by former mercenaries, so they must be careful and not rash in making decisions. Before returning home, Jack stopped by a cafe bar to relax and buy some food. But when he entered the cafe, the people there looked cynically at him and made fun of him because of Jack's old-fashioned appearance and carrying a very cute white rabbit pet. One of the men there even approached Jack and insulted the white rabbit brought by Jack. Hearing the man insult his beloved rabbit, Jack felt very angry and immediately attacked the man. 2 other men helped the man fight Jack, but Jack with his very reliable martial arts skills was able to fight and break the bones of all the men. The next day, Jack works with a man named Billy. When Jack and Billy are patrolling in a car, Billy says that all the plans carried out by the police are always known to the drug cartels, so that Billy suspects that there are police officers who are traitors. Jack just heard what Billy said without giving any comment. After finishing his duty, Jack returned to his hotel to rest. That night when Jack was fast asleep, he suddenly woke up having a dream about his daughter's death from an overdose. The next day, while Jack was studying a case file, Billy suddenly came in and informed him that the police were having a shootout with drug dealers in the border area. Jack and Billy immediately went to the scene to help the other police officers. After arriving at the location, Jack had time to make a brief observation and he concluded that the drug dealers in the area were just making a diversion. Jack then took Billy to a place a bit far from that location. After arriving at a place suspected of being a drug smuggling route, Jack found several illegal immigrants from Mexico who entered across the border. That meant that Jack's conjecture about distraction was proven right. Of the many people in the illegal immigrant group, Jack managed to catch 2 men who were suspected of carrying drugs. Unfortunately, after Jack checked the clothes of one of the men, it turned out that the man was carrying a bomb vest on his body. Jack immediately calls Garcia to bring in a bomb disposal squad. However, when the bomb disposal team tried to deactivate the bomb suddenly exploded and killed the man and several bomb disposal officers. It turned out that the bomb was a bomb that could be activated remotely, and the people who had detonated the bomb were Benjamin and Max. Since the failure of their mission in Afghanistan, they have both stopped serving in the military and have chosen to continue their careers as part of Mexico's largest drug cartel. They work as assistants and bodyguards for a drug cartel boss named Felix, who is none other than the target of the current Texas police force. The next day, Benjamin informs Felix that their rival drug cartel led by Benito has contacted them. Benito's cartel wants to strike a deal with Felix for negotiations. Hearing that, Felix and all of his men got ready and went to Benito's base with weapons for safety. During the meeting, Benito said that he wanted to negotiate the division of drug trafficking areas from each cartel. He asked that the territory be divided equally so that they do not have to constantly fight to seize each other's territory. Hearing that, Felix just smiled and immediately activated the poison gas remote control. All members of Felix's cartel have prepared gas masks so that they can survive the threat of the poisonous gas. But after all the members of Benito's cartel are killed, Benjamin suddenly strangles Felix from behind, causing Felix to die instantly. It turns out that Benjamin and Max have planned to take control of Felix's drug cartel, and they have persuaded all of Felix's men to betray him. That means the business of the largest drug cartel in Mexico is no longer controlled by Felix but by Benjamin and Max. A few days later, the police began to learn about the change of leadership of the drug cartel in Mexico, which is now led by Benjamin. Garcia said that there have been 50,000 illegal immigrants from Mexico who smuggled 5 tons of heroin in the past year. While Jack and Billy are on a routine patrol around town, Jack sees an old man being robbed by 2 teenage boys. Jack immediately chased the 2 teenagers and managed to catch one of them. After being caught, the teenage boy tries to bribe Jack with an offer to work with one of the biggest drug cartels. But Jack firmly refused the offer and immediately shot the teenager dead for trying to escape. After that, the incident of the teenage boy's death spread in the local media. Garcia seemed angry at Jack for killing 2 teenagers who could have been sources for tracking drug networks in the city. On the other hand, Benjamin, who saw the news of the death of the teenagers he sent to bribe Jack, was surprised and curious about Jack's true identity. So far, there have been many corrupt cops willing to work with them to earn more money in an easier way, but Jack doesn't seem to fall into that category. Benjamin feels sure that Jack is not a random person, and he must find out all information about Jack. Meanwhile, Jack is seen sitting inside a cafe he's been to before to relax and have a quick drink. The man who once insulted Jack and was hurt because he was beaten by him slowly approached Jack and apologized to him for what happened the other day. Elsewhere, Benjamin and Max are seen busy preparing a cargo of drugs and modifying a bus to smuggle it into the United States. Max said that in this smuggling, they shipped 2.8 tons of heroin wrapped in 3 layers of carbon paper and stored in a titanium-coated iron box. Thus, neither the police detective devices nor the best police dogs in the world will ever be able to track the whereabouts of the drug. On the day of the smuggling, Max and Benjamin deliberately disguised their bus as a bus that would transport congregants and church nuns. Max, Benjamin, and his men disguised as church priests to escort the shipment. Upon arrival at the border post, the officers checked all the passengers carefully by checking their passports one by one. However, after one of the passengers' disguises was revealed due to a tattoo on his finger, the officer immediately told the other officers to restrain the bus. However, Max and Benjamin, knowing that their disguise had been exposed, they immediately took out all the weapons that had been prepared in their bus and immediately shot all the border officers. Benjamin quickly asked his men to speed up the bus and fled from the place. Jack and Billy, who heard the information from the radio and happened to be in the area, immediately drove their car to catch the bus. Meanwhile, Benjamin, who had taken over the wheel of the bus, immediately turned around because there were too many policemen surrounding the road in front of them. At the same time, Jack, who had found the bus, immediately shot the bus from inside the car. Seeing their condition increasingly cornered, Benjamin decided to drive the bus back to Mexico. Jack and Billy, unaware that they had crossed the Mexican border, continued to chase the bus. The bus was intercepted and chased by some Mexican police until it stopped at a market. Jack and Billy and several other U.S. police immediately chased Benjamin and his men. After Jack manages to shoot dead some of Benjamin's men, Jack sees Max and Benjamin talking to the Mexican police chief named Ernesto. Jack realized that he was in danger, and he immediately ran from the place. But he has been intercepted by other members of the Mexican police. As a result of that incident, Jack was arrested and detained by Mexican police for violating the Mexican border without a permit. It turns out that Max and Benjamin have collaborated with Ernesto and members of the Mexican police in the border area so that Benjamin's drug cartel can carry out smuggling easily. The next day, Jack was being forced to fight as a bet. Fortunately, with all the fighting abilities that Jack has, Jack can defeat all his opponents in the fight. Meanwhile, in the United States, Texas police are conducting military funerals for border police officers who died after fighting with drug cartels. Garcia still looked worried that Billy and Jack had suddenly disappeared in the middle of yesterday's arrest operation. After that, Garcia got a call from Billy asking to meet somewhere. On the other hand, Benjamin and his men had tied Jack upside down and hung him over electrified water. Benjamin intends to torture Jack so he can interrogate him to find out who he really is. At the same time, Billy comes with Garcia while threatening her with a gun. It turns out that Billy is one of the corrupt U.S. cops who work with Benjamin and has leaked information about the police investigation so far. That's why drug cartel organizations can always escape the police and find out about any arrest plans made by the police. Benjamin asks Jack about his true identity and who he works for. He believes that Jack is not an ordinary police officer because his abilities and ways of working on completing missions are very different from regular police. Jack then replied that he was a border police officer on duty. Benjamin, who doesn't believe Jack's words, threatens Jack that he will kill Garcia. Hearing that, Jack had no other choice but to tell the truth. Jack admits that he is an agent of special forces sent to arrest all the leaders of the drug cartel network in Mexico. Jack then said that he would not only catch them but kill them all outright. Jack explains that 3 months ago, his 16-year-old daughter died of an overdose of heroin smuggled from Mexico. He swore before his daughter's grave that he would kill every drug dealer in Mexico. After hearing all this, Benjamin orders Billy to lock Jack and Garcia in the same cell. Benjamin intends to exchange them both for his drugs, which are currently being held by the Texas police. Upon arriving at the warehouse, Garcia manages to kill one of Benjamin's men and shoots Billy dead. After successfully breaking free from their bonds, Garcia immediately contacted her superiors to ask for help in sending reinforcements to Casa del Mar, where they are currently being held. Jack then asked Garcia to find a car in the base, while he would try to distract the guards. At the same time, Ernesto calls Benjamin and tells him that the Texas police are on their way. Hearing this, Benjamin looked shocked and immediately asked Max to pack up immediately. Garcia, who managed to find a car, was suddenly surprised by Benjamin's men, who had just woken up from his sleep. As a result, the car that Garcia was riding in had an accident and Garcia fell unconscious. Texas police forces have arrived at Benjamin's headquarters and immediately shot Benjamin's entire gang, who were preparing to bring drugs into a safe. The shootout between the Texas police and Benjamin's cartel finally happened again. In the middle of the fight, Jack accidentally met Max and had to fight him. Jack almost died from the explosion of a grenade bomb thrown by Max, but Jack managed to gather strength and get back up to kill him. In every attack carried out by Jack, he was always haunted by the memory of his daughter, because he did all this solely to take revenge. After that, Jack must face off again and fight against Benjamin. Benjamin, who had previously pointed a gun at Jack, finally canceled his intention to shoot Jack because Jack had put a bomb vest on his own body. Jack then activates a ranged bomb and throws it at Benjamin. Benjamin is killed instantly by the explosion, and Jack's mission to kill the boss of Mexico's biggest drug cartel is finally accomplished. The film closes with a scene where Jack and Garcia sit together and manage to survive all these incidents. The next day, when she arrived at the hotel, Garcia asked what was so special about the white rabbit that Jack always carried with him everywhere. Jack said that the rabbit was the pet of his late daughter who had died. The moral we can learn from this movie is about the magnitude of love possessed by a father who sincerely loves his daughter.